Hey, this is Shriyari from Mr. Phone, and last year one of the most underrated phones, one of the most loved phones especially by me, was the LG G7 Plus ThinQ. It was a phenomenal multimedia phone and actually won the best multimedia phone award in the Mr. Phone Awards 2018. Now this year we have a successor, that is the LG G8s ThinQ, and while LG hasn't improved the nomenclature a bit, they seem to have improved the phone a lot, and in this video we're going to find out just how that has happened. So hey, this is Shriyari from Mr. Phone, and in this video I'm going to give you a full review of the LG G8s ThinQ. Before jumping into the video though, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also hit the bell icon right next to it so that you get notified when we put out an awesome new video. The LG G8s ThinQ is a beautifully designed phone, but it would be difficult for me to call it a very big upgrade. But yes, it does look pretty nice to me. The frame of the device is wider than the G7 Plus ThinQ, and while I do prefer the G7's thinner frame, I'm alright with this change given that there's a bigger battery inside. The power button placement on the G8s ThinQ is on the upper side of the frame now, and for your friends who've never used this phone, they'll think that this is a weird placement. That said, once you start using it, you realize just how comfortable that position is. The G8s ThinQ is not a huge phone, and for such a phone, it does make sense to experiment with the placement, and I would say this experiment was successful. This also helps because generally when you have volume buttons and power button on the same level on either sides of the phone, pressing one, you would accidentally press the other. This placement avoids that as well. Now the G8s ThinQ also has another button for the Google Assistant, and I love that. The power of Google Assistant being one physical click away makes things very easy. Not having to say hey Google like 100 times a day does make you feel good. The notch this time around is actually bigger than the G7 because there are more sensors there, and I actually later on realized that the earpiece was actually shifted to the right side, and I have been using this phone like a normal phone, putting my ear just where other earpieces would be, and I did not even notice the shift in position. The headphone jack on the G8s ThinQ is to die for, and there are separate audio players that you can buy that do not produce the kind of sound. The phone comes with basic in-box earphones. That said, they do not do justice to the kind of quality that this can produce. The speaker quality is good, but the volume is lower than I expected. The G7 Plus ThinQ was known for its powerful speaker sound. This one, not so much, but it still does a good job. The physical fingerprint scanner is also something I like a lot. The only thing that I might not like completely is that it's not recessed, so it's pretty much on the same level as the back glass, so sometimes it becomes difficult. But if you have the LG case on which comes inside the box, then you should not have a problem with that. There is also face unlock on this, and that works pretty damn well as well, but I use the fingerprint scanner a lot more. Moving to display, the LG G8s ThinQ brings a big upgrade over the G7 Plus ThinQ with the shift to an AMOLED display, but also drops a little bit in resolution. The display is bright, colorful, crisp, and of great quality. The color accuracy is also pretty on point. It comes with an HDR10 display and also comes with DCI-P3 color space. So you really have a lot happening here. There is that characteristic color shift that AMOLED displays have. Other than that, it's a pretty decent display, and I have no complaints whatsoever. It even lets you hide the notch and do weird things to it if you're into that. The phone does come with Gorilla Glass 5 protection on the screen, but it does not come with a screen protector out of the box, which means that if you want that, you have to actually go outside and get someone. But if you want to get a screen protector, then you have to buy it from outside. All in all, I think the display experience, although there is a drop in resolution, I actually like the display of the G8s ThinQ better than the one on the G7 Plus ThinQ just because it is AMOLED. Moving to software, the G8s ThinQ runs LG's custom skin on top of Android 9 Pie. This might be the one thing on this phone that I'm not a big fan of. The UI doesn't feel very mature. There are basic functions that take more time, like taking a screenshot or turning on and off toggles. The phone is pretty fast, but I think the UI could be more mature than it is right now. That said, I do not hate the kind of customization that LG provides is insane, from personalization using the most versatile always on display options that I've seen to theme engines. The phone is packed with customization options. The device is supported by Project Treble, but no support for seamless updates. Now, in the past, LG hasn't necessarily been the best when it comes to Android updates, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Hopefully, LG actually picks up speed and gives you the timely updates. But as of now, I cannot really tell if they're gonna be regular with the updates. The device comes with Android Pie pill navigation method, and it works pretty damn well. I actually use that for most of my usage with this phone. The LG G8s ThinQ comes with Snapdragon 855 with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 GB storage, and the performance is truly flagship grade. The SG855 is very powerful and it clearly shows in the way that this phone functions. Compared to OnePlus 70, this does compare very well in benchmark scores even, and actually scores 395K on AnTuTu, which is a crazy number. The OnePlus 70 actually scores slightly lower, and the Asus ROG Phone 2, again with the 855 Plus, which supposedly was the highest AnTuTu scorer, only scores 393K, which means that this is higher benchmark score than even the Asus ROG Phone 2. That's some achievement, I guess, but I'm not someone who depends a lot on benchmark, and for daily performance I actually love this phone. And if we talk about gaming performance, then I played PES 2020 a lot on this. I even played PUBG, and the experience was second to none. I had a wonderful experience. The display is very nice, the speaker performance is good, and if you listen to audio through a headphone jack, then it is absolutely beautiful. You can actually turn on DTS 3D surround sound, and that does make the game feel a lot more lively than it would with any other phone. On daily use, it is pretty nice. There were a few times when I found instabilities, but that was mostly because of the UI, some glitches in the UI. But apart from that, the daily performance was also pretty damn smooth. And I believe for someone who's looking to buy the LG G8s ThinQ, performance is not the place where you will have to worry at all. Now coming to cameras, the G8s ThinQ comes with a triple camera setup with 12 megapixel standard lens. Thank God it's not the IMX5 with 648 megapixel, but it's a 12 megapixel standard lens, a 12 megapixel telephoto, and a 13 megapixel ultra wide lens. This is more a flagship grade setup. It almost reminds me of the iPhone 11 Pro setup. The pictures that this phone takes are fabulous. I especially like the color science used here, and the details and sharpness are also quite on point. The parity between the three lenses is pretty good too, and there are barely any Android phones that provide that. You have the option to choose between any of the cameras, even for video. And the unique thing about LG is that they not only provide you manual camera mode, but you can use the manual camera on the wide angle lens as well, or even on the telephoto if you want. So you have amazing kind of control that you do not get with most phones. And this is not the whole story. You also get manual video mode, like you even get the ability to control the gain on microphones and turn on wind noise filter too. Here are some more samples taken from the phone. Let me know what you think about these cameras in the comment section below. For me, compared to a OnePlus 70, I'll actually go with the LG G8s ThinQ, not just because of slightly better color science that I saw, but also because of the manual control that I get with the cameras. Moving finally to battery, we have a 3550 mAh battery, which is much bigger than the one on the G7 Plus ThinQ. And this also comes with an AMOLED display, which means that if you use darker wallpapers, then you would be able to save a lot more battery. Well, in my usage, it did get average screen on times of around 5 hours 40 minutes to 6 hours, which isn't excellent, but is a big improvement over the G7 Plus ThinQ. The G7 Plus ThinQ's weak point was the battery. The battery drain happens more when you're trying to look for signals, which happens an awful lot, but on Wi-Fi this phone drains much less battery. Now with the phones comes a 16 watt, close to a 16 watt charger, which charges up the device from 0 to 100 in about 2 hours. All in all, while I think that the battery performance of the LG G8s ThinQ is nothing to write home about, it's much better than the G7 Plus ThinQ and gets it at least on the same stage as a lot of other phones in this price range. Moving to call quality and performance, the network performance lacks stability in this phone. There were multiple instances in a day where I have to restart the phone to get the signals back. Whenever switching from Wi-Fi to mobile data, I had this problem, and it was much more on this phone compared to any other phone. Now it could be because there is an issue in my unit, but this is what I experienced. The network stability was not very good, at least for data. For calls it was pretty fine, but for 3G or 4G networks outside, it wasn't really the best. The LG G8s ThinQ is a great package with the 855 inside, which produces amazing performance, that AMOLED display up front, the manual camera modes, and the amazing cameras that are on this phone, and the excellent multimedia performance that has been brought just like the G7 Plus ThinQ. I think this is a great package, and for the price, I think it's almost a steal. Now comparing it to its biggest competitor maybe, which is the OnePlus 70 in my eyes, the only area where I think the OnePlus 70 has a slight advantage is with the performance, and not so much because of the chipset, but because of the UI of Oxygen OS is very mature. It is one of the snappiest Android skins available in the world. Actually, a lot of people prefer it over stock Android, even when it comes to performance. So that's actually a high bar to cross. But apart from that, I think the LG G8s ThinQ is a much better phone in almost every other area. And between the OnePlus 70 and the LG G8s ThinQ, if I had to choose for a phone, although I don't like that notch, I would still go with the G8s ThinQ because of the manual control that I get with the camera and the kind of multimedia performance that I get with the phone. And with that, I leave you to it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Srihari from Mr. Phone with the full review of the LG G8s ThinQ. Let me know if you want to know anything else about the phone, any comparisons if you want in the comment section below. We'll try and do that. And thank you so much for watching. This is Srihari from Mr. Phone with the LG G8s ThinQ, and I will catch you in the next one.